Joining us now to talk a little more about the life and legacy of former First Lady Rosalynn Carter is Kate Andersen Brower, best-selling author of First Women. Mrs. Carter, as we know, worked tirelessly as a mental health advocate. Tell us how her work shaped how we talk about mental illness today.
I think that she was one of the first people to ever bring up mental health in such a high-profile way. And actually, when I interviewed her in 2018, she talked about how she wished that there was more funding for mental health, and looking at the rash of shootings that have gone on in this country. She was ahead of her time, and she was deeply frustrated, actually, that we're still kind of in this place where there is a stigma around mental health. But she did a lot to lessen it.
And you've called Mrs. Carter transformative in her role as First Lady, but she was actually influenced by former First Ladies, even as a young girl. How so?
That's true. She very much admired Eleanor Roosevelt, and I think you see that in her work, especially when she left the White House, actually, for the Carter Center work that she did monitoring elections around the world, eradicating guinea worm disease and river blindness, working on river blindness. I mean, she took the kind of fearless advocacy that was Eleanor Roosevelt's and put it to very good use, both in the White House, but then in the decades after. Her work with the Carter Center is really tremendous, and I know that that meant so much to her. And when I interviewed her, she was emotional, talking about visiting countries where guinea worm had killed so many people and the fact that they had nearly eradicated it. That was her life's work.
Since leaving the White House, she and former President Carter are perhaps best known for their humanitarian work with the Carter Center. How does that organization aim to improve life, not just for Americans, but for people around the world?
Well, Mrs. Carter won the Medal of Freedom, and President Clinton, when he awarded her and President Carter with the medal, he said, "You've done more things for more people in more places than anyone else." So it's a global, transformational project that they have to help election monitoring. She's been to Sudan, North Korea, Cuba, trying to advocate for democracy and free and fair elections, and then drilling down on these very specific diseases that often come with drinking contaminated water. The Carters did not grow up with much money, especially Mrs. Carter, and I think she never lost sight of her roots. And she, at 13 years old, lost her father to cancer, and she said her childhood ended then. And so she had a tough life, and I think she had a tremendous amount of empathy for other people who were struggling, and their deep Christian faith had a lot to do with that.
The Carters, of course, had an undeniable love for one another, even after 77 years of marriage. What do you think was their secret?
I think they both evolved together. It wasn't always easy for them. It was funny when I talked to them about Donald Trump. This was in 2018, and I was in their living room in Plains, in their very modest home, and I asked both of them what they thought of the Trump presidency. And Jimmy Carter gave a very, very well thought through, guarded response, and Rosalynn kind of elbowed him and said, "Jimmy, you think he's terrible." So she was able to check her husband and kind of, keep him in line. I think a lot of married couples can relate to that. She always told it like it is, and I think you got to respect that.
Of course you do. Kate Andersen Brower, best-selling author of First Women. We thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Linsey.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.